Hey guys, this is GFX Dude from Tutcove.com, and here I am with my second video in my tools series for Adobe Photoshop CS4, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use the Marquee Tool. Pretty much what the Marquee Tool is used for is to select different parts of an image or whatever you're working with so you can move it around or fill it with gradients, fill it with patterns. I'll kind of demonstrate right here a little quick example. You can see me dragging it out, and now I've got this rectangle selected here of my image, and I can move it around, move my selection wherever I want to. And after I've got it on the part of the image I want to select, I can come up here and I can use my move tool, which we learned about last video, and I can move that the contents inside that selection wherever I want to in the image. There's many other things you can do with this, what you've selected here. You can make it into a layer by itself. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So back to the Marquee. If you right click on your Marquee tool right here, you come up with four options. We have a rectangular Marquee tool, elliptical, single row, and single column. One quick word I want to tell you is if you push the M button on your keyboard, that's the hot key for your Marquee tool. So let me deselect it, and I'll push M on my keyboard, and you'll see my Marquee tool is selected. Also, Shift M cycles through the elliptical and the rectangular Marquee tools. So the first thing I want to show you in using these Marquee tools is the tool presets. As I said in the last video, you can define tool presets and save them to a file and upload them or load them up later, and you can use the same options for multiple projects. Second up, I want to go over the different types of marquees we can use to select. The first one is the standard one, and it's the new selection. It basically just lets you select whatever you want to. The second one we have up here is add to selection, and what that does is if I have this rectangle here and I had a little more down here I wanted to add to it, I wanted to catch in my selection, I'll just choose the add to selection marquee option, and I'll draw me a new rectangle here, and this will add my new selection to my original selection. So as you can see now, this is being combined into this one odd shaped figure. Next up we have the remove or subtract from selection tool, and what that does is, I bet you can guess, if I select right here, this is going to subtract where it intersects with the original selection. So if you'll watch, it'll get rid of that L looking figure right there and subtract what I had originally selected. And lastly up here we have the intersect with selection option, and what it does is it selects everything that is inside an intersection between two marquee selections. So if I'm dragging out a new marquee, the only thing that's going to be left is this rectangle right in this area right here. So the only thing that will be left from both selections is that rectangle right there. Next up we have our feather option, and feather is really good if you're wanting to make like a picture frame looking effect or make any type of faded edges. What feathering does is it fades the edges and blurs them to where it has a clear transition between the background and whatever you're trying to use your marquee for. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my original marquee, and I'm going to press Control and D to deselect what I've just already selected. So I'm going to draw me out a new, actually sorry about that, I'm going to go ahead and set a feather of 20, and this is my radius. So I've set a feather of 20 pixels, and I'm going to draw out this square marquee right here. And as you'll notice, when I click or when I unclick, my edges will be rounded off, and that has feathered my marquee selection. And I'll go ahead and show you what that's technically done. Is I'm going to go up here and fill the selection with my foreground so it's black, and you'll notice that my edges are now all fuzzy and have a good transition between the back and the front, and you could use that as I said before, a picture frame effect is what I normally use it for. So go ahead and remove that. You got to set it back to 0 pixels, and I'm going to press Control D to deselect this. Actually, I'm going to press Control Z to just undo whatever I've done, and Control Alt Z to undo twice. Next up we have our style. We have normal, fixed ratio, and size. Fixed ratio pretty much sets the aspect ratio of it 1 to 1, so it's always going to be a perfect square if I drag it out. Fixed size is it can be 64 pixels by 64. It can be whatever size you want to. If you have you know what size you want to select, you go ahead and type that in. We'll go 100 by 200. And draw me out a new selection, and anywhere I go I can only select a 100 by 200 marquee. Lastly we have up here our refine edge, and refine edge is mainly used for pre-created images. To be able to refine the edges, as it says, you can refine the radius. If you hover over each one of these boxes, it gives you a description down here. So I'll let you look at that yourself. I'm not going to go into that because I'm pretty sure you can read. But just play around with that and look at it. I'm not going to go into detail on it because it's pretty self-explanatory. Going to head and X off of that. Next up, what I want to show you on this Marquee tool is I'm going to right click on it again. We're going to use the Elliptical Marquee tool. So go ahead and press Control D to deselect whatever you already have selected. And it's pretty much got the exact same options up here. With feather, this time we can anti-aisle, and have the same styles. And with the Elliptical Marquee tool, we can make an elliptical, as we said, but we can also make a perfect circle. And the way I like to make a perfect circle is, instead of going to a fixed ratio, that just takes an extra step. When I click to draw my marquee, I'm going to hold Shift, and holding Shift creates a perfect circle. It also does that to make a perfect square. Let me take this off. If you're trying to make a perfect square, if you hold Shift, it'll make a perfect square. Just a little hint there. Lastly, we have our single row and single column marquee tools, and many people don't know what the existence of them are for. But what I like to do is, if I have a gradient, let me go ahead and draw me a gradient inside this box. Go ahead and edit. We're going to get a fill with a gradient. If I could find gradient, maybe we'll just fill it with a pattern. That'll work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect that and select my single column marquee tool, and that just selects one single pixel all the way up and down the image. So if I go in here to edit, if I want to edit my selection, I'm going to press Control and T, and then I can drag out whatever's right there, and it drags those pixels all the way across wherever I drag it. It comes in very helpful when you're trying to create gradients. You can just draw a 1 pixel gradient and stretch it out across your image, and it turns out quite nicely in the end because it doesn't get distorted. So that has been it for your marquee tools, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And remember to check out our new forums at tutcove.com/forums.